Over to you, Krystal.
Oh, over to me?
Yes.
Okay. Hi, guys. So welcome to our mini breakout room. Today, we will be discussing about equality and human rights. It'll be a free flow session, so feel free to interject with any questions or discussion points you like to highlight and bring to light. Totally relax, don't feel pressured. And yeah, we're more than welcome to turn on your camera. I just woke up and I look like this, so yeah, I'm pretty sure everyone else is in a better spot than I am.
Looking fabulous nonetheless.
I try.
We're going to start out with introducing ourselves. I think that will be like a great stepping stone. I don't know. Masha, since your camera's on, would you like to go first? I'd love to know you.
Hi, everyone. My name is Masha.
Hi.
I'm 22 years old. And basically, since my undergraduate degree, I worked to advance the UN SDGs, mainly as a student leader, volunteering, but then also working full-time for a global foundation. And as part of that experience, I also had the chance to fly to New York and attend the Global Goals Week, which inspired me to do my current master's degree. So at the moment, I'm studying for my master in international governance and diplomacy in Paris. And I think my goal for this master's degree is basically to turn my academic research, so coursework, a current project I'm working on, into a real impact in the policy sector. So basically turning like your writing into an action, into a law, into an NGO, into a partnership. So yeah, that's what I'm currently doing. And I look forward to meeting the others.
Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna start calling out names. I'm gonna say Clifford. Hi, Clifford. Want to introduce yourself?
Yep. Hi, everyone. I'm Clifford, and I am from the Philippines. So I'm one of the youth leaders here, both local and national organizations. So yeah, we're currently helping our youth here to also be active in promoting SDGs and of course our local building nations as a youth here in the Philippines. So I know there's a lot of issues here in the Philippines that you've heard. But yeah, so that's the reason why we are also expanding our call this network so that we'll be gaining a lot of insights and also information that we can share with our fellow youth here. So hi everyone, I'm by the way I'm currently studying Bachelor of Science Psychology, we call it here in the Philippines, and also working as a quality analyst. So there. Hi to all.
That's awesome. Thank you. Nouf, do you want to call on someone?
I mean, Hayat's cam is on, so might as well introduce yourself.
Thank you. It's my pleasure to be among you. So my name is Hayat. I'm from Algeria. I'm a global school advocate, a global peace chain ambassador also. And currently I'm working for the UNESCO SDG 4 for quality education. So our network in the UNESCO tries to implement current solutions in SDG 4 and try to find to collaborate in finding applicable solutions to different regions around the globe. So yeah, so anyone is interested in what we're doing can ping me in LinkedIn. Thank you.
You. Feel free to drop any links you guys find interesting or just for connection purposes in the chat. I'm pretty sure everybody more than happy to see it and share it around. Okay, I guess we can just jump into. Oh wait, sorry. No, there's one more person. I can't read Russian. Hi. Can anyone read Russian? I can't. I'm sorry. Would you like to introduce yourself? Okay, I guess not. Nouf, you're mute. You're muted.
Oh no, I was just talking to my brother.
Oh,
the other.
okay. Okay, my bad. Yeah, I thought you forgot. Okay, I guess for our first discussion question, I'll start with a spicy one. Why do we talk about human rights but not human responsibilities? Anybody wanna go? I guess I'll start. I think it's because when we say responsibilities, it becomes more individual and more personal, whilst when we say human rights, it's more generalized. So we feel like the responsibility is not just on our own shoulders alone, but it's shared among others. So by personalizing it, by saying human responsibilities, it becomes more weighted. So a lot of people don't want to deal with that. What do you guys think? Hello, newcomers. So the question that I asked was, why do we talk about human rights and not human responsibilities? Do feel free to just jump in and say your opinion. It's an open floor.
So I can jump in a little bit about that. So I grew up in an environment that's very conscious about, external family, the society around us. So when it comes to human rights, it was very kind of hierarchical in terms of like behavior. So there's not much of responsibility to others, rather it's responsibility to oneself. So when we talk about human rights in the context of oneself, it's easy to kind of fall into the trap of we're actually doing something towards human rights. And you can see that because like we kind of in the Middle East, we suffer from this labor system, right? That's completely, inhumane. So at least in our part, I think as a generation, for us, we were very wary of these type of topics to be able to recontextualize what the labor system could look like and fair for everyone, right?
Yeah, for
That's
sure.
my piece.
Okay,
Can I
I
go
just
next?
want to add something that that has not been added to what you've said. You're all correct. Personally, I think there is a way language diffuses into the public space. And once a language or a word or a phrase becomes popular in pop culture, then it just becomes the norm. So if you're trying to bring another phrase or word for people to accept, it now becomes so hard to enforce such words. So in as much as experts are aware that it takes some form of responsibility in order for us, all of us, to be able to achieve where we want to be as far as human rights is concerned, but they wouldn't want to use responsibility because it's going to be like novel, it's going to be like a new word and you want to stick with a popular culture. And we can see that even happening now, even with the cancel culture and some of the words that are being, that trend, they trend a lot on social media. So I think that has been the divide, between human rights and then of course human responsibility. We know it takes some level of responsibility, but we won't want to use that word. Rather would say human right. But then of course, when we are educating people, we also educate them about their own role in making sure that we achieve human rights.
Thank you. Yeah, it's very true. Yes, Hayat.
I think we talk much about human rights because NGOs and governments and all the like heavy bodies and like governments and everything, they interfere in the human rights sphere, not like human responsibility. It is kind of individual, more like it's up to you if you can be responsible or not.
Thank you. Yeah, very true. Does anybody else want to contribute before? Oh yes, Masha.
Yeah, so the other week in my hometown, I passed by a street
Yeah.
and hung up on each column a poster with one of the laws about human rights. So you could walk and like maybe take half an hour to read each of the laws. And for me, it's something we never learned in school or in university. So I think to if to answer that question, I would say it's because it's something that was determined at the international level and is not necessarily common education. It's really human rights from an international law perspective rather than like personal responsibility. So yeah. And it was a very cool exhibition. So I'm not sure if if there's a museum on it, but it was very like extraordinary.
If you have the link, you could share. That would be amazing. I think everybody would appreciate that. And for quick context for everyone who just joined or is still in this call, I wrote down some questions into the chat. Do feel free to reply to any one of them as long as you say it before you speak it. Totally, yeah. Feel free. Hi, Brian.
Thank you.
Nice to have you here. Oh, yes,
Is now
Ben.
a good time?
Yes, more than a good time.
Thanks. I know I joined late, but I'm grateful for the human rights topic and your question in particular. Something not taught in schools globally, and forgive me for missing the conversation earlier in case you addressed it already, is, well, and maybe it is taught in schools globally, but I think there can be more to be said on interfaith awareness and the interfaith civility. There's a lot of peace that can be accomplished for sustainable development when we are able to better equip rising generations with vocabularies for dealing with the diverse mindsets of any diversity and inclusion areas, but especially that of the interfaith areas. I work at SAP. I lead our Global Interfaith Alliance, and it's and there's 100,000 companies in this company, and I found that there's a lot that we can accomplish based on all of our regional sensitivities and sensibilities that can help unlock the way people are able to relate to each other when we give them non-confrontational words or safe spaces to address both the differences and commonalities in the different faiths. I don't know if it's taught already, but I count on SDSN youth to figure it out.
It's a big responsibility, which you're right. I think it's on the youth's shoulders to deal with that. Aforfem, would you like to contribute to this?
Okay. Personally, I think we cannot talk about human rights without talking about inclusion, because at the center of human rights is inclusion. And I think that's where the conversation begins. Yes, I know over the years, it's been human rights, it's been activism here and there, but now we're talking about inclusion. How do we genuinely include people that we have prejudice over? How do we include them in the conversation? Because if they're left out, then there's truly no human rights. And up until now, there are still people who just have some bizarre views about others. And I personally, I think inclusion should be that conversation that will shape the human rights that we all want. From Asia to Africa to Europe. I'm going to give a good example that happened recently. And it's funny though, because the UK banned people from Nigeria into entry into UK. And the reason was because Omicron variant was found in Nigeria. Yes, We know there are challenges around managing the spread, but the UK would allow its own citizens, even though they had Omicron, into the UK. And that was weird, because it's like you still have some prejudice over an individual from where they're coming from, just because in your mind you think that they shouldn't enter a particular place because they have a disease, that even though your people have that disease, you're more willing to welcome them into your space. So what happened was they went back and forth. Nigeria's government banned the UK as well from entering into Nigeria. And within a week, the UK lifted the ban, because if they didn't lift the ban, then the country, Nigeria, wouldn't lift the ban on them. And now we have that free travel from the UK and back and forth to Nigeria. But then inclusion is a conversation, I think, the rest at the heart of human rights. And the more we're denying that, like when we talk about human rights, we don't talk about the inclusion and how people view other people, then we really cannot complete this conversation around human rights. And that's my take, honest take on it.
That's a great insight. Thank you so much, Aforfem. And I agree. Diversity and inclusion is a major part of human rights issues, because how do you, if you want to say everyone and then suddenly someone comes and you're like, oh, not you though, like that doesn't make sense, right? And I think that leads into another question of like, is there any hierarchy among human rights? Because there obviously is, right? Like, who makes the laws about human rights, and then like who gets a say in it? Like, we're all human. Shouldn't everyone have a say? And then you have like a more nitpicky question of like, what if you're like a mean person, you know, like you traffic other humans? Like, are you still subject to human rights at that point because you've lowered yourself to beneath of being an animal, right? I guess, yeah, there's a lot of like anger and emotions that come into play when making these laws and like trying to enforce them, because I do know in some parts of the world, like you have to fight fire with fire or the problem will never be solved. And at that point, do the laws still apply? And how, you know, but that's a question for the floor. Everybody should feel free to.
I think history has a way of shaping our minds. And I think a lot of the things we've read, we've been told. I'm going to take myself for example. My parents will tell me stories about certain families just so that we don't have a relationship with those families. And I think if I didn't know about those stories, then I would have a relationship with those families. But now that my father and my mother said something about that family, still within my country, not outside, of course, there's still that problem of inclusion, you know, even where we live, where we exist. So if you don't say something, yes, I know you should be careful about people who have criminal tendencies, but if you just have no evidence-based judgment about someone, I think
prejudice.
I think that can impact the relationship we have with them. And I think going forward, we need more evidence. Even if you want to, you know, take a decision about someone, I think should be done scientifically with proof, evidence. Okay, you say this person is this way, where's the proof? Where's the evidence? And we should stop telling stories that are not true and real, because we see that happening, playing out now with social media. People just tell stories, some fictional stories about individuals, not real. Where's the proof? No proof. You're just telling me something and it's actually tickling my fantasy, because it's like, it could be true. Yeah. You know, it could be like that. So storytelling is very powerful. And the way we tell the stories of other people, I think is a very powerful tool that is really shaping our world today. And it's going to keep shaping the world. And I think having people who tell story from evidence-based points of view in strategic places where there are communication platforms is very key to shaping the future.
Yeah, for sure. Like, I think as a child, I was also told like, oh, stay away from these kind of people. And then as I grew up, I realized like that was a prejudice that was grown inside me. So every time I see someone, I'm like, oh my God, I should stay away. And the second thought that comes in is the after effect, when I had to reteach myself those lessons, where I'm like, no, that's not right. You know, so I think a really powerful message I learned once was the first thought you think is not is a thought you're taught to think, but the second thought you have is the one that you've learned yourself. So I guess that's something we all have to keep in mind of. And yes, Ben, I saw you had a lot of really interesting contributions. Are you comfortable reading it out loud?
Of course. It was mostly just comments of Aforfem's interesting contributions. Did I say your name right, Aforfem? Okay. And
Yes.
while I'm here, Masha, Nouf, Krystal, Hayat. It's just nice to see and hear people's names, as long as we're talking about inclusivity and things like that. Okay. So, but you said some great things, Aforfem. I really thought that the banning of I was just talking about this with my brother, the banning of a whole country for COVID based on these types of things is counterproductive. It's blind and not really effective. And it actually contributes to a less healthy world where viruses of any kind, both medical viruses and viruses of thought, can thrive, right? But the logic that you shared, but it's also an expectable reaction by humans. It's a knee-jerk reaction to be like, oh, there's been cases of this detected in Nigeria or South Africa. Therefore, we will ban straight up so we don't have it there. It defies logic, though, because when you do take the logic that you suggested, you think about it as like, well, if it's detected somewhere, it's probably everywhere else already. It just has neither been reported because of fear of being banned by a country or because of that type of behavior or whatever. But there's that logic, but then there's also what you shared as well. And it's like, well, that probably wasn't the best move. And that's where I think what we can gain from my takeaway from what you were sharing is that if we were, and it goes back to Krystal's question, promoting human rights in both young schools and governments as well, globally, teach people to think through those situations a little bit more. And then when they approach those conceptions, it can be really gratifying to be like, oh, I've just done something as a politician. That's great. I've de-risked my reputation by banning these countries real quick. That's great. But I would respect a politician or anybody who's holding those decision keys much better if they were able to present their logic, first of all, to say, this is why. And I hope that there's going to be blind spots anyway. I hope that there's a means by which you would be able to educate their opinion as they go about that in the process. I guess this is it for now, or maybe it's Mohammed Yunus's Zero Clubs, but New Civilization.
Yes, he is an amazing speaker, and I really appreciate him. So Masha had to leave. I guess we can all say bye.
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 Bye, Masha. Thank you for coming and being here. Do feel free to connect. I think it's pretty easy to find most of us on LinkedIn. You just put in SDSN, we're all there.
Everybody?
Oh, hello. Yeah. We're just discussing.
Hello, you guys. You ready?
Hello?
Because I heard you saying bye, so I thought you should leave then. I think
no.
it's all your internet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not gonna hold Masha.
I'm not gonna hold Masha.
To leave, Masha. Yeah. But yeah, no, one of our members had to leave early, so we're just wishing her well. But the
conversation, sorry to cut you, it will be ending in 2 minutes. So you want to wrap up?
Oh, yes.
You just sent a message. Yeah.
Okay. I guess the last question should be, do you think having rights per country is a backward thinking behavior as we move towards a global economy? Because looking at how COVID went, it looks like we're creating more divide between countries and people, especially when the beginning, the Asian hate caused because it started in China. And then now with the banning of individual countries like Africa, just because of a variant, do you think in the future the youth should parade for a more global and united globe versus countries and individualistic notions, especially the topic of human rights, right? Because we're going for a global economy. I don't know, it's just a thought and a question.
Well, because we're going to wrap up the session in a bit, there's not much to say.
Yeah.
We'll be thrown out of here soon. into the main session.
Okay, because
Personally,
I
I
want
think
to
scientific-based approaches into decision-making will be useful going forward. I'll give an example again with the UK. When they finally lifted the ban, they gave a scientific-based evidence to lift the ban, but not a scientific-based evidence to put a ban. So that's where the problem was. There was no scientific-based evidence to put a ban, but there was a scientific-based evidence to lift the ban. And the scientific-based evidence they had was that Omicron is already in the UK, spreading rapidly.
Yeah, which is unfortunate.
There's no need to put a ban over a country that has Omicron. It's already in the UK, spreading so rapidly in their communities. So I think going forward, what's going to help is for government to recognize that you have to make more scientific-based decisions, critical analysis of decision, not just based on race or culture or people or a particular sect, social class of people. But there's still classism, which is another problem. And people even recognize classism. As a matter of fact, people want validation from classism, which is a problem. Yeah. So there's a lot of work we have to do.
Can anyone hear me?
Hi, Tal.
Hi. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, you have 30 seconds left.
Never mind.
Okay.
Nouf, do
You
you have
guys want to
anything?
close with a last word since there's like 25 seconds left?
Yeah.
Oh.
we have it. Yeah.
Oh,
go.
no.
Okay, AI. I'll just put in
Then-
3 words. AI
Yeah.
needs to be taught. The warnings, I put it in the chat. Systemic discrimination can be enabled or stopped, but it'll never be neutral with technology.
Thank you.
We've seen that with the Uyghurs.
Thank you.
Bye, Ron.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us at the Vatican Youth Symposium over the past 3 days. It's been an exhilarating experience to host each and every one of you in these last 2 days with such eminent and wonderful speakers as well. Thank you so much for your cooperation and for letting us stay at the helm at the youth development. We hope that you'd all join us in the mission of achieving the Sustainable Development Goals in the Paris Agreement in the time frame that's been intended to. It is our job and our aim to do that at SDS and Youth, and we hope all of you will join us in the same as well. I now invite Brighton to say a few closing remarks, and then you can leave. Brighton?
Thank you, Maya. Really excited. I did, float in all the breakaway sessions, and it was incredible to see the depth and clarity of thought for everybody that made a contribution. I was in the education breakaway session. Our friends and colleagues at TestPack were incredible. I went to the human rights. I went to the sustainability. Just seeing the incredible conversations was amazing. What I would want to just encourage all of you is, if you haven't connected on social media, on LinkedIn, please do so. And this is just the beginning of wider collaborations and wider opportunities for all of us. And on behalf of SDS and Youth and our partners at the Pontifical Academy of Sciences, I would like to thank all of you and just reassure you that we are here. We're here to support you. We're here to contribute toward making your solutions sustainable, and we're here to create a platform that connects you to other like-minded people that you could work with. We have an open door policy at SDS and Youth, and we want to work with all of you. Please don't hesitate to reach out to me, to reach out to my team. I'd like to also thank Mira, who's been incredible over the last few hours in orchestrating all these dialogue and conversations, including my colleague Kayla, who's been fantastic at putting this symposium together. My colleague Amy and the team in our communications team has been terrific, but also all the project leads, deputy project leads, project officers, our global network of members from around the world that have been instrumental in making this year's symposium a success. I would also be very excited to ask those that are comfortable, and perhaps Maya, you can coordinate the next steps. If all of you are comfortable and you would want to be in our symposium group photo, we'll be excited to open our cameras if circumstances allow where you are, and then we could take a picture together.
Yes, so everyone, whoever can, please do smile, the biggest smile, all the teeth out there. And I have 3 screens to go through, so it will take me some time, so keep smiling. It's the time to smile. It's the end of the year. And at SDSN Youth, we had a great year this year, and we look forward to an even greater year. Regardless of what happened outside, I think all of us should be happy. And there's a joke going around social media that no one is saying that 2022 is our year. And I'm saying it out loud that 2022 will be our year, and we'll make a difference in this year as well. So keep smiling. Let me just go through all the screens and take a photo of all of you present. I'm getting messages from my team saying quickly, but I don't see why every one of us shouldn't keep smiling. And with this smiling faces, I bid you all a farewell. Thank you all very much for joining in to the Vatican Youth Symposium of 2021. Hopefully next year we'll all be able to host you at Rome in the Vatican City, and for many other events that we plan to have over the year. Thank you very, very much. Goodbye, take care, and Happy New Year to all of you. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. Stay
Thank
well.
you. Bye. See you guys soon.
Bye.
Thank you so much.